Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It is monthly favorites time, and boy do I have a lot of stuff to share with you guys today. As you guys might know if you've been watching my videos throughout the month, I tried out so much makeup this month. A lot of new things. I did 3 drugstore videos where I spent $50 at 3 different drugstores and saw how far that went. Plus I got some PR this month, so it was tough for me to narrow things down, but I forced myself to do it, and we're gonna be talking about the best of the best today. But before we get into the makeup, if you are a new visitor here, a very special welcome to you. I hope that you enjoy this video, and I hope that you'll consider subscribing before you leave. Also, make sure your notifications are turned on. And with that said, let's just get right to it. Let's start with some palettes. I've got 4 of them. 2 of them are for the face, 2 of them are for the eyes. I could have mentioned a lot more eyeshadow palettes, you guys. There's a lot that I really liked, but I forced myself to only pick 2. But let's start off with some face palettes. First off, this one right here. This is from Lottie London. This is their Shimmer Squad highlighting palette. I picked this up from Ulta Beauty. It was on clearance, and they no longer have this available on Ulta Beauty's website, which I'm really sorry about, but they do have this available on the Lottie London website, which I will link down below for you guys. It is still pretty affordable on there. I think it's on sale for like $5 or $6. I think these highlighters are gorgeous. I can wear every single one of them. Even this one right here that looks deceivingly dark is actually not that dark. If I combine it with something else, I can get this really pretty golden highlight. The white one I actually don't like on its own for my cheekbones, but I love it as an inner corner highlight. I actually have a tiny bit of it right here on my inner corner today. It is beautiful. The shimmer quality of these are really, really nice. They're very, very intense, very reflective, but they're not glittery. They're kind of like light. I just love how they look on the skin. They don't make the texture. I do have some texture on my cheeks. They don't make the texture stand out as much as other intense highlighters do. It's kind of a fine line you walk when you're talking about highlighters, but this is a really, really good one. And for the price, I think it's amazing. I also had to mention this palette right here. This is pretty new to me. I've only had this for 8 days, which only makes it like 1 day above what I've given myself is like the limit to when I can mention something in a favorites video. I've had this for about a week and 2 days and have worn it every single day since. It is the perfect face palette. This is from Sydney Grace. It is a new release from them. I think these things are $28 a piece. I have the light palette, and I believe the face palette comes in a light, a medium, and a deep version. This is such a perfect face palette. I love that you get one perfect bronzer in here. It is a warmer bronzer, but it's perfect for me. You get 2 tones of blushes, also 2 different finishes. This one's nice and warm and kind of like a bright poppy pink. It is the one that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. This one is matte and a little bit more on the cool tone side, and then you get a really beautiful kind of shimmery, slightly pink toned highlighter. This is the highlighter that I'm wearing right here on my cheekbones today. It is lovely. Such a perfect face palette. I often don't feel that way about face palettes. There's usually 1 or 2 shades in a face palette that just don't quite work for me, but this one I think is perfectly curated for what I like. Just enough variety, but not so much that you're kind of overwhelmed or there's things that you don't use. Now I am obviously just talking about this light version. I can't speak for the other 2 versions, but knowing Sydney Grace, they've probably done a pretty good job curating those palettes as well. So definitely recommend it. Absolutely amazing. The Sydney Grace quality, as with their eyeshadows, their face products are also really, really good. Oh, and I should mention, they did send this to me. Did I say that already? So I did not buy this myself. Totally would though. And I have to also mention their eyeshadow palette. I really tried to tell myself not to mention this one because again, I've only had it for about 8 days, but you guys, I haven't stopped using this for the last 8 days. I love this palette. It's really, really good. I am in love with these blue tones right here, which I'm wearing again on my eyes today. I actually started off this look with this pink and the blue in the corner, and I didn't really like that combination, so I ended up kind of wiping off that pink with my finger and then putting this silver on top. These 4 colors together right there, if you are afraid of blue eyeshadow, these are blues that look more neutral or metallic than like a blue. They're wearable blues, as I sometimes say when I'm talking about blue eyeshadows. I'm very picky about the type of blues that I will actually wear, but these are perfectly done. They're so pretty, so reflective and metallic, kind of glamorous. And then everything else in here, you get a lot of neutrals, a lot of pink. So everything in here is pretty warm, I would say, other than just maybe like these like 4 or 5 shades right here. Everything else is pretty warm, pretty peachy or pink toned, but lots of beautiful shimmers, really pretty transition shades. I love the deep shades that you can put in your outer corner. Tons of variety in here. I've had so much fun with this palette, and it's in the great Sydney Grace formula that I am constantly raving about. Now this was sent to me, once again, it was $56, which does make it more of a pricey eyeshadow palette, but I'm telling you guys, the quality of Sydney Grace, as I've often heard from you guys that have tried their shadows after my recommendation, foundation. Most of you have agreed with that. They have great quality and their color stories I think are so well put together. So another winner from Sydney Grace. That left me with one eyeshadow palette to pick from. There's a couple others I could have mentioned, but the one I went with is the Colourpop Fresh Greens palette. Before I rave about this, I feel like I should mention, I did check the reviews on the Target website. I picked this up at my local Target. It didn't get the best reviews, which made me question myself, like, is there something I'm missing about this? But I have officially now used everything except for this center kind of yellowy green shade right there, and I think these are amazing, really good quality. The mattes all blend like a dream. They're nice and pigmented. The shimmers are particularly exceptional for Colourpop shimmers, which sometimes, not that they're ever bad. I think Colourpop shadows are, generally speaking, always quite good, but I don't usually think their shimmers are like exceptional. These ones I actually think are, particularly these three shades right here, they are just the perfect color, the perfect shimmer quality. They're very rich and pigmented. They're not very sheer, like they really pack a punch when you put them on the lid. They go on really easily. I've even used this one wet and it is just so impactful and stunning. Let me just swatch these for you guys in case you missed the video where I tried these out. They were in the Target video that I did a few weeks back, but look at these colors, you guys. I mean, look at the shine quality. You can't even see it in my bright lights. They're just so incredibly stunning. I absolutely love them. Kind of like what I said with blues, where I'm picky with the type of blues I like to wear on my eyes. I'm also kind of picky with the type of greens that I prefer on my eyes, and these are them. Really good one. I think if I had to pick between this one and the Mandalorian one, which is another one I've raved about before, I think I like this one better. Next up, I have a few lip products. First off, this right here, the NYX Fat Oil Lip Drip. I have the shade Follow Back. I really like this stuff. When I first tried this out and first applied it, I mentioned it felt a little bit on the thick side, but it warms up really quickly on your lips and just really kind of like melts or almost thins out. It's very comfortable. I mean, I would say it does have like a tiny bit of stick to it, but in the best way. This is such a pretty lip gloss. The format actually does remind me a little bit of the Fenty lip glosses, which I'm a huge fan of. I've always been a big fan of the Fenty lip glosses. This particular color is so pretty. It looks good on top of anything. It's relatively sheer, but does provide a good amount of color if you use it on its own. And it's kind of more of a like, it's hard to say, it's kind of like a bronzy peach shade that leans a little bit on the sheer side. It does have some sparkle in it. The only thing I would criticize this is the packaging, which I think is very cute, but somehow because it's like short, makes me think there's not a lot of product in here, which is not true. There's actually as much in here as there is in the Maybelline lip gloss, but I also think it's kind of hard to pull this wand out. So when I untwist it and go to pull on it, I feel like I have to like yank it, and sometimes there'll be like a drop of the gloss that ends up on my shirt because I'm having to yank so hard. Maybe I just got a weird tube of it. Let me just reapply a little bit of this. You can see what I'm talking about as far as like shine and color. They smell amazing, which is very important to me. I'm always talking about the smell of products, and this is one that does smell great. I think I've seen a couple other people mention these. Have you guys tried these out? Have you tried some of the other shades? Let me know if you guys have recommendations, because I do really like this. I think it's great. Another lip product that I was pleasantly surprised by this month is the Clean Fresh Yummy Gloss from Covergirl. I'm not often a big fan of Covergirl, but I think they hit it out of the park with this lip gloss. They smell great. There's a ton of product in here. They're very comfortable. I actually think these are even less sticky than the NYX one, but I've been really happy with this one. I actually had to bring it down here after being in my purse all month. Charlie, anytime I pull this out, she wants to put some on because it smells so fruity and delicious. It's very fruity. I have the peach out one. I actually don't think it smells like peaches. It smells like a lot of different fruits. It actually smells more like apples than peaches to me, but I don't mind. It smells really yummy. I really want to try the coconut one. Last time I checked, it was out of stock like everywhere online, and I haven't seen it in my local drugstore. If I do ever see it there, I will definitely be picking it up. I think especially if you don't like sticky glosses and you're looking for bang for your buck, this is a really good one. Cruising right along, I have two brow products to share with you guys. First off, the NYX The Brow Glue. So this is the one that I have in my brows today. I really like this brow gel. It's such an interesting consistency. It's kind of more of a like goopy glue like brow gel, which does make it a little bit trickier to use. I just want to say that off the bat. The first time I used this, I absolutely loved it. The second time I used it, I realized I got too much in my brows, and then once you have too much in your brows, it's hard to get them just right. Like it's hard to remove the excess product. So my only word of caution with this is to make sure that you have a relatively clean spoolie on hand while you are using this, because you're going to need to brush some of the excess out. I also recommend when you open it up, kind of getting the excess product off of the spoolie, which I generally do with most brow products because I like to have a little bit more control. But if you get those two things down, this is a great brow product. It dries pretty quickly. It keeps my very stubborn brows nice and upright. And the way that it dries is like a soft hold. So it stays in place, but it doesn't feel overly crunchy or stiff. I really, really have been impressed with this. Why do I say really, really? It's one of the things that annoys me the most when I'm editing videos. Find another word or just say it once. But I have equally loved this last month, the Essence Brow Styling Soap Set. This stuff is very, very different. It is clear, as you can see, this is like totally clear. It's basically like a clear little tiny bar of soap that's stuck inside this little pan right here. Comes with a spoolie, which I updated you guys. Do not throw away this spoolie. It definitely works better than most of my other spoolies for this particular product. But this is also a product that has a tiny bit of a learning curve. What I have found is you can't have your spoolie too wet or too dry, because if it's too wet, like the brow product will just not work quite as well. It's not gonna really hold onto your brows and they'll kind of fall down as they're drying. But if it's too dry, it's gonna be really gloopy and kind of waxy looking in your brows. So there's kind of a fine line there. It takes a little bit of trial and error to figure out how best to get this product to work for you. I do like to wet my brush first. So I'll actually just spray a little bit of water right on my clean desk in front of me. You can even just spray a little bit in the pan right here, and then just kind of work the water into your brush. And then I take the wet brush and kind of just lightly dab it on the back of my hand to make sure it's not too wet. Then I'll just go in and kind of like, you know, do a little swish like this. Such scientific instructions. And then I'll just brush it through. I know that sounds complicated. It's not that complicated. I have just found that if my brush is too dry or too wet, it doesn't work quite as well. But you figure out very quickly what that fine line is. This is super affordable. I think the NYX one was like $9 or $10. This one is cheaper. I think it's more like $5 or $6. It reminds me a lot of the Colourpop one, but I think this one holds even a little bit better than the Colourpop one does. I'm talking about this one right here, the Feather Effect one. I do have a feeling that this is probably gonna fall out of the pan. Like I can start seeing it shrink around the edges, which my Colourpop one did this as well. So it's not that big of a deal. You just have to be prepared when it does kind of get loose that it might fall out when you open up the lid. So keep it upright, but super, super effective brow product. If you like the really feathery, soft, brushed up looking kind of brows, this is like one of the best products that I found to give me that look. I have saved the best two products for last. So these are the things that really, really wowed me this month, that I am just like over the moon excited about. The first two things I thought of when I sat down to like, what do I want to talk about this month? Instantly, I knew it was these two, starting with a primer. And that is the Milk Hydro Grip Primer. Milk did send this to me. I probably never would have bought this on my own. It is a pricier primer. As someone that has just kind of started to dip their toes into the primer world, and also having a lot of drugstore ones that I love, I just generally don't spend a lot of money on primers. This, however, I love this stuff. It feels so, so good on the skin. It's nice and hydrating. It blends into my skin so well. Like you can feel it kind of softening up my skin and also making it just like very, very slightly sticky, which I really, really love. Now, sadly, I wish I could say I thought the e.l.f. Power Grip Primer was a dupe. I don't think these two are exact dupes. I know some people have compared them. I can kind of see why you would compare these, because this one does kind of give you that similar sticky feel, but this one I don't feel like absorbs into my skin. I kind of feel like it just slides over the top of it. Like it's not giving me any added hydration. And as someone with dry skin, I love a little bit of extra hydration. I just think it makes my foundation go on a lot better and wear a lot better throughout the day. I don't think this one is bad, but I don't like it nearly as much as I like this one. It's unlike any other primer I've tried before. Probably the one I think it most like sort of compares to is maybe my Flower Beauty one. Although this one is a very different kind of feel. It leaves, it's just a little bit different. This one's just a little bit more sticky, but in a very, very good way. I'm so impressed with this stuff. I know it's been around forever. I've heard a lot of people rave about it. I just never imagined that I would be so excited about a primer, but I'm really, really enjoying this. Looks good under any foundation that I have tried so far, and it just feels so nice on my skin. Very last thing, I feel like we are cruising along. This is gonna be a short video today, is a concealer, and it is the Physicians Formula Butter Glow Concealer. You guys, I love this concealer. It is possible I may have found my new favorite drugstore concealer. I love everything about this. It has great coverage. It is extremely hydrating, but it's not greasy. Like, it doesn't slip and slide around. It doesn't settle into lines in a way that there are some more hydrating concealers that have almost that like greasy kind of feel. I don't know. I can't think of one specifically. Actually, I can. This one right here from Winky Lux. Probably one that no one's ever tried, but I think Tarte made one that kind of reminded me of that. I'm having a hard time finding the perfect example, but if you're someone that has dry skin and fine lines, this is a very fine line to walk. Being able to find a concealer that is hydrating, but not going to settle into those very dry, fine lines. And this is one of those concealers that I feel like walks that line just perfectly. I absolutely love it. It even smells really pleasant, which I thought might break me out, but I've been using this for 8 days straight, not a breakout on my face. So I'm pretty confident that at least for me, this is not breaking me out. Now again, these were sent to me, which I'm just realizing, guys, a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about today was sent to me, which I feel kind of guilty about, but I would definitely spend my money on these. I will warn you guys, they're cheaper at Target than they are at Walmart, which rarely happens. I saw these at my drugstore yesterday and they were like $10.48. I think you can get them for like $9.50 or $9.99 at Target. So check these out online. They don't have the best shade range, so that's the one downside to these. They only had 6 shades, so it might be difficult for you to find your shade. Now they did have a very light shade and a pretty dark shade, but again, it's gonna be hard for everyone to fall in within those 6 shades. So if you can, I would recommend picking up the 2 shades that you think would most be close to your skin tone if you can. I did swatch all the shades that they offer in the video that I did where I featured these. I will link that for you guys right here in case you would like to see that shade range, but I'm telling you guys, formula wise, very, very happy with this. The only thing I will criticize with these is there is only 0.19 ounces inside this tube, which is not that much. For a drugstore concealer, I mean, even my Revlon concealer had like 0.3 ounces in it, so that's quite a bit more, which does make it a little bit more on the pricey side if we're talking price per milliliter or ounce, but very, very happy with this concealer. I think it is such a great one. And I'm not sure I explained this very well in the video where I talked about these, is the applicator. So you do get this kind of sponge applicator on top, but don't be deceived by that. That's basically just a blending applicator. You actually have to open up the tube to get the concealer to come out. So it doesn't actually come out of the sponge tip, which I actually was really happy to see. I haven't used the sponge tip to blend, but you totally could. I mean, I usually just use my sponge that I use for my foundation, but regardless, I think this is just such a great, great concealer. I'm so happy that it's been working so well for me and not broken me out. And that is it, you guys. Those are all of my favorite things from the last month. There were a lot of other things that I really liked. I wanted to mention my Lottie London eyeshadow palette, also my Essence eyeshadow palette. I liked both of these as well. I just wasn't quite as impressed with them as I was with some of these other ones. Lots of other stuff that I tried out as well that I really liked. I do have a speed review video that will be coming up very shortly. Lots of stuff that we'll go over and review in there. So keep an eye out for that over the next couple weeks. I hope that you guys are doing well. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'd love to know what your favorite products were this month. Feel free to leave those down in the comments below. But that is going to do it for now. I will see you all in my next video. Bye. It is a little curious though that I had 4 new brands send me PR this month, which thank you. I appreciate it. But it makes me wonder, I'm the worst Instagrammer ever. Why all of a sudden are brands sending me stuff? The economy must just be really bad right now, which is not funny, but if you don't laugh, you'll cry. So you gotta laugh. I'm kind of distracted by these really big earrings. My sister gave me these as hand-me-downs. Anytime I get hand-me-downs from her, I love taking hand-me-downs, but I'm always like, okay, but why did you get rid of these? Like, what did you not like about them that I maybe should not be so excited about? So let me know.